All right, in today's video, I'm going to walk you through what a Google Ad Specialist is, what you should look for when hiring one, and how to become one. So without further ado, let's get started. What a Google Ad Specialist is someone who can run a Google Ads account properly. This is easier said than done because Google Ads is a very complex platform. A lot of people like to say, well, it's easy. You can set one up in, 30 minutes and have it pumping in leads within a day or two. Yep, that's correct. But to do it properly takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of expertise. Takes a lot of dedication because Google Ads is a combination of multiple advertising mediums or multiple advertising, let's say, systems. You have to look first at the actual Google Ads keyword. So you have to be very good with analytics, choosing the right keywords, understanding what people are actually going to be typing in, because some of the time the keyword planner, as good as it is, doesn't always come up with the best keyword selection, and you have to interpret what people would actually be searching for a chosen service, which can be a little difficult at times. Next, after that, you have to then write the ad copy in the Google ad itself. That's not always easy because you have to differentiate yourself from the competition. The competition is working very hard to differentiate itself from everyone else. So it's not super easy. You got to really read up on advertising and copywriting. It takes a lot of time, but it does really benefit in the long run because you can take that into the next thing, which is landing pages. And landing pages is a whole another realm of advertising because you got to look at conversion rates and the things that increase conversion rates. So you got to think about social proof. You got to think about authority. You got to think about your headline. You got to think about how you're taking in the leads. Is it going to be an email inquiry? Are you going to do telephone calls? Are you going to be doing online messaging through like maybe a chat bot? There's a lot of things that you got to consider about this. So really, Google Ads specialists, they need to be well versed in a variety of things. One is definitely analytics because you have to get behind it, like I said, in the Google keywords and understanding what's working, what's not, and being able to read through the data and sift through it to make sure you're looking at stuff that's appropriate to your account. Because there's a lot of data out there and there's a whole bunch of numbers, and if you're not good with numbers, it's going to make your life hell. It's not fun if you don't like analytics. Fortunately, I don't mind sifting through analytics. But and at the end of the day, too, a lot of the stuff in analytics is a little um, overcomplicated. There's so many numbers, and people get caught up on like impression share, cost per click, conversion rate, even like conversion rate. It can be low. However, if you're converting like a crap ton of leads, it doesn't really matter if your conversion rate's low. There's some cases where that's the place. So really, at the end of the day, it's how much money am I generating this customer? That's it, right? Generate how many leads? How many leads does it take to convert into a customer? And how much money is my client making from that customer? That's it. The next thing, like I said, copywriting. Copywriting is really, really big. There's a whole bunch of excellent books out there. I'm trying to think. Claude Hopkins has an excellent book. I think it's just My Life in Advertising. He's got a whole bunch of books that are excellent. And keep in mind that's in the early 1900s, and he was writing advertising statements or advertising copy. What he, it's just absolutely fantastic what he was able to do back then with time, and just through A/B testing through direct mail. Um, and then you got to go on to actual conversion rate in landing page. So landing page design, I'd recommend maybe taking a course or two in landing page design if you're going to go into that. It would significantly help. All right, so I think I've covered what a Google Ads specialist is. It's to generally they have to understand one, the Google Ads account, the analytics part. Two, the actual Google Ads copy, what's converting, is it generating a high click-through rate? And three, the actual landing page, or if you're running it to a website, which we generally don't recommend, um, how you're doing the back end. You also have to be very good at conversion tracking. You don't have to be super good at it, but you got to know what you're doing to make sure the analytics gets funneled back into Google. So you need a little bit of computer experience in handling websites. It's not super in depth. There's a lot of good courses online for free that teach you how to walk through how to put pixels in, how to put proper tracking in. It does take a little bit of time, but it is definitely worth it. So that's what you really need to know in order, or that's what a Google Ads Manager does. When hiring someone, I would really recommend looking at someone who's ambitious, who's always ready to learn more stuff and apply it. Someone who just sits on a Google Ads account, gets mediocre results, and is just happy with it, isn't generally someone you want because they'll just let it plateau and then over time it'll gradually decrease because your competition is getting better. They're learning more. You always need someone to continue learning. Better conversion rate tactics. So, are we using more social proof? Are we redesigning the landing page to make it more user friendly? Are we writing more ad copy? Are we constantly A/B testing the ad copy and the landing pages? Are we always going to be looking at new keywords? This is very, very important stuff, and it should be a number one priority when hiring anyone in Google Ads. Are they ambitious? The issue with ambitious people, however, is they generally don't stick around long because they're always trying to move up. So if you can find someone who's ambitious, happy with the work that they're doing, and they don't want to go into any other line of work, I would say definitely hire them. They're they're a great asset to have because Google Ads is a very, very powerful tool when utilized correctly. And if you can get someone in there that's constantly learning, constantly modifying the campaign to make it better, you, you've struck gold, really. For learning Google Ads and how to become a Google Ads expert, I don't really like the term expert. I just like saying, someone with experience in Google Ads. I don't really like calling myself an expert in it. It just feels kind of funny because so many experts per se are out there nowadays. If I was going to do it again and say, okay, how am I going to learn all this? Because I've got thousands of hours now in Google Ads, learning about copywriting, learning about landing page design, learning about Google Ads. I've taken numerous courses. I would say first and foremost, I would say Google Ads certification is an excellent place to start. It's completely free. Um, as you can see, I found this little document here that goes over how you can become a Google Ads specialist, and it's got some good points. That's why I just had it up here, something to look at really. Become Google Ads certified. What this does is it gives you a broad overview of what Google Ads is, and it gives you a pretty in-depth tutorial on how to use Google Ads. The thing it lacks is strategy. Strategy is very, very important because depending on the business you're using, strategy can make or break a campaign. So take, for example, Isaac Radunsky at Adventure PPC. Absolutely brilliant guy. I love him to death. He's wonderful. A wonderful teacher. The issue with his strategy, I shouldn't say issue, I should say the situation with his strategy is based on e-commerce, which is excellent for e-commerce businesses. It's not excellent for lead generation businesses. And if you're going to utilize Google's AI, you have to feed Google's uh, system enough data to utilize it. Most lead gen companies, they don't have enough data, so the Google's AI falls flat, especially if you try to use it in the early months without the amount of data you actually need to optimize for Google's AI. This leads to bad scenarios because Google AI is just guessing and it's spending copious amounts of money. So I would highly recommend after Google Ads certified, niche down into what you're going to go into. So say you're going the e-commerce route, I would highly recommend Isaac Radunsky, absolutely brilliant guy. I think his courses are on Udemy. They're really cheap. Absolutely narrows down anything you need to know about it. He also has a landing page course that's very good as well. I would recommend taking the landing page course regardless of whatever strategy you have because it's very, very useful. If you're doing more lead gen, I would consider using or buying what's his name? Google Ed Stapleton Jr.'s course from Click Geeks or Clicks Geeks. I can't remember the S wherever it goes. He is absolutely brilliant, and Rob over there at using lead generation strategies and optimizing Google Ads for lead gen. This is businesses that you're trying to get phone calls, you're trying to get emails in. This is not selling products online. This is I'm doing business over the phone or I'm doing business in person. this is the strategy you want to go with. A lot of service-based businesses, businesses in the skilled trades that we work with, landscapers, roofers, these types of guys, you want to go with a lead gen strategy. So it's very, very important to figure out what strategy you're going to go into, whether or not it's e-commerce, whether or not it's lead gen, and find someone who's done it successful and follow them. Don't You can completely copy them for the first bit, but then try to branch out and learn more and more and more. The next thing I would recommend is probably getting the Google Analytics certification. I don't know if they still offer it, but they do offer a course on Google Analytics. That just allows you to get your head around a lot of the data. Even if you like, it's always good to have another certification, but to really understand and what the numbers mean. Because if you just see a whole bunch of numbers on the page, you have no idea what it means. It doesn't do you any good. Like at the end of the day, what matters is the amount of leads, how many converted, and how much money did my client make. That's really all that matters. But you need to know the numbers that make that happen. Like impression share. Impression share is important. Yes, it can be low at times, and you can still run a fantastic campaign. Cost per click can be extraordinarily high, but if you have a significantly or crazy high conversion rate, it doesn't matter. It's a really, really good base to build your knowledge through. I think it's absolutely fantastic, and I would highly recommend learning the Google Analytics and the numbers behind Google Ads. It's very, very important. What else? Oh, if you're going to take the Google Ads certification, I would recommend you just do everything. That way you can explain to people what display is, what video is, what apps is. Like a lot of the stuff you're not going to be using. Shopping ads are very useful in e-commerce, but if you're doing lead gen, shopping ads you're not going to use them for the most part, right? Because you're trying to do services over the phone. You're not really selling anything online. Um, but it's very, very good to have a full knowledge base of Google Ads, and you kind of get a feel for some of the strategies you could use. Like for lead generation, you could also implement maybe display and video and then have a remarketing campaign behind that, sending traffic back to the landing page. That's an excellent strategy to use, and it just gives your mind a little bit more flexibility and variables it can play with to generate a successful campaign. Applying Google Ads courses. The next thing I should also say, after you learn the basics of Google Ads through Google Ads certification, through the analytics, and possibly taking another course to niche down, definitely go into take something regarding ad copy. So you know how to write the actual Google Ads. A lot of the courses give you great advice on how to write them, how to look at your competition, take bits and pieces of what works and what doesn't work, and amplify for that. There's also tons of books out there that are absolutely awesome for learning how to do successful copywriting and are just amazing resources in general. The next thing after that, I would think about doing landing page design and looking at what converts, what doesn't, how to structure the actual page. So, you have your headline, you have the option to, call or enter an email, depending on if you're doing lead gen or e-commerce. So e-commerce would be buy the actual product. And then you have to, establish authority, establish social proof, have multiple calls to action in the page. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it, and having a resource, even a book. I think there's what's the book that's excellent? Landing page optimization. It's a big blue book. It's hard to miss. It's excellent, excellent resource for figuring out what converts, what doesn't. It's absolutely, and I think it's like on its fifth edition or second edition. I have absolutely excellent resource to use for optimizing all of your landing pages and getting your campaigns even more successful. Then after that, I would look into conversion tracking, how to set everything up properly. Measure School is a great resource, even just on YouTube. You don't actually have to, purchase the course. I'm sure, I'm sure he'd love you to purchase the course, but a lot of the stuff can be found online. His course too, if you do buy it, it's an excellent resource as well. Um, but a lot of that stuff can be found online for free. How to set up, conversion tracking for landing pages, for websites, Google Tag Manager, pixels for remarketing. A lot of all that stuff can be found free on YouTube. But definitely look into it to make sure it's set up properly and accounting uh, for all of the clicks and conversions and sending it back to Google accurately. So that's very, very important. If after all that, I would then start, experimenting, see adjusting bids, playing around with how you're structuring campaigns, looking into all of that, and optimizing and going your own route from there. Um, Google Ads is ever expanding. It's always updating. They're always changing things. So you got to stay on top of the ball. Always keep learning if you want to actually be in this space. That would be my advice to you. If you like this type of content, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe really helps the channel grow. Other than that, you guys have a fantastic day and weekend. I wish you well. Take care.